and welcome to this special episode. We've got Arjun Ranga of the NR Group. It's a rather interesting company, or rather set of companies that does essential oils. They've done incense sticks for nearly 3 generations, and now they're moving into medical equipment. A new third generation entrepreneur. Let's find out how he's dealing with keeping his business on course. Hello and welcome to another edition of Business on Course. And thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you driving all the way from Mysore into Bangalore. I'm sure it's a nice road though.
Yeah, we're luckier than most people in Bangalore because Mysore is closer to this place.
Possibly after all the changes that have been happening on the infrastructure side. But let's talk about your business, the NR Group. I think a lot of people who would have known it from its various brands that they come face to face with. You explained to us you're a big incense stick and sort of fragrance group, big business in this market.
Yeah, business was started by my grandfather 60 years ago. Just at the time India got independence, 1947, he decided to start on his own. 4 children, 1,000 rupees in his pocket. True entrepreneur in the family, just like many stories of the earlier generation. He's the guy who built his organization.
So you actually saw that happen in terms of its inception?
Yes. Yeah, since 60 years now. So I'm 35, but yeah, it's been a long road and a very hard road. We've come a long way to be the leaders in incense in India, now.
It's really interesting that you say that, leaders in incense, and it's also very interesting that it's also happening at a time when the Orient, it's the rise of the Orient, China, India, the love for spirituality. Where do you think that all played a role?
It's good that you asked me this question. We've seen a huge growth in the export market since 2000, 2001. Just around the time the whole incredible India, image started in the West. Just with spirituality, Eastern culture, agarbatti became an instant connect. You light an agarbatti in your living room, the immediate Eastern aura is created.
Yoga and Ayurveda must be playing a big role. I mean, India has become the hub for spas, and I think now Southeast Asia and even African islands have become that.
I know, it's a big thing with how fragrance plays an integral part of culture and spirituality. It's right. It's been documented in the Agama Shastra, and finally the whole country and the West in general are waking up to it. So.
And when you say that the West is waking up to it, as an entrepreneur, second generation entrepreneur?
No, third
generation entrepreneur, how do you interpret it? I mean, what does it make you feel about the whole, it's actually a culture. I mean, there was a pop culture, there was a flower power culture, this is the Ayurveda yoga culture. So when you step back, what thoughts come to your head?
I mean, it's kind of cool to be Indian now. When we travel to the West, we export to about 50 countries, and I make it a point to visit every country at least once in 2 years. So I'm basically, traveling all the time. But when we go to a country like Brazil, which has become a very big market for us in the past couple of years, you see teenagers, 13 years, 14 years, 15 years old, buying our Indian incense and then, really enjoying the fragrance and the whole aura it creates. And on the other side, we have in India where we are trying to go into McDonald's and eat burgers and then trying to embrace a different kind of culture. So it's very funny, but again, I guess that's what world is about, globalization and cultures coming together.
Indeed, quite interesting. We'll talk about how the India story in your context is the real India story. You're selling the real India in its sense of spirituality, the Vedas, the spa, the essential oils, all of that.
Everything. I mean, it's like, I'm selling what India smells like. It may not sound very cool, but yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing. So.
That's the Arjun Ranga effect. He personalizes his stuff. Only golf or otherwise?
I try to do wherever I go. I like to leave my mark. So.
Very interesting. I'm very amused. But tell us, how did this whole thing start? I mean, why do you like to leave your mark?
I guess it's what you want to do in the third generation. Your grandfather and your father have done quite a bit, and I strongly believe I mean, if you can't do it, at least fake it. So I guess till I leave my mark like my father and grandfather did,
I love your honesty. I think that's really sweet. But how does that happen in business for you?
It's been good so far, and I've been back in the business since 8 years now. I think we're doing fairly okay. So we've moved into a leadership position, consolidated, diversified quite a bit. It's been a good 8 years for me so far.
Back in the business, back from where?
Well, I'm an engineer, and then I worked in the US. I did my MBA in the US and worked again, and then came back and joined the business in 2000. Started from one of our smaller companies and then worked my way up. So yeah, it's been good, 8 years.
Well, we'll talk about the NR group in detail as we play. Super. You're a pro. I should ask you, when NR group was happening and you were the third generation dealing with it, where did golf fit into all of this?
Well, I started golf in the US. You know, Arizona is supposed to have more golf courses than McDonald's. So started golf in '97 in the US when I was doing my MBA. Joined one of the clubs and then started golf. Didn't play it for a couple of years till I came back to India 2000, 2001. One of my uncles got me into it. You know, he was playing and he said, "Why don't you come and shoot?" So that's how I got into golf.
But were you like a sports person right through?
Yeah, I always felt golf was something I'd start once I retired. I never thought I'd, you know, get on to golf so seriously.
I don't know what your uncle would have to say about that comment. It's not just always for people who want to retire.
I've realized that now. Now I have a tough time staying off the golf course. So, yeah, but there's a saying in golf, you know. I mean, if your handicap is more than 20, you need to practice more. If it's between 10 and 20, you know, you're right there. And then if it's less than 10.
Arjun Ranga, explain to us. It must take a lot for a third generation of a business that's traditional, has you know, its own basic technicalities like incense sticks and essential oils, to stay in that business. What took you to hang in there with the family business?
You know, it's my family never forced it upon us to come back to the family business. I mean, they gave us the option of working outside, and I think that's a very good thing, which our family business has, is that we need to work outside before we come back.
That's a rule?
That's kind of a rule in the sense we need to get outside work experience and work under somebody else.
So where did you work?
I worked for a company called Chemical Market Resources in Houston in Texas. A couple of years I worked as a business consultant.
What kind of chemicals were they selling?
They were more a consulting firm, telling companies what to do with new products they were launching. So more on market entry strategies, new product development and so on.
Okay. That should have helped your business in some way?
I'm a chemical engineer basically, so it was kind of in line with my MBA and my undergrad. So I worked there for a couple of years, started to like the US lifestyle too much, and then I decided to come back. But
Sooner than later.
Sooner than later. But you know what my family has done, you know, is fantastic in the sense that most family businesses coming into the third generation have a lot of problem with succession. You know, our family was very proactive in the sense that my dad and my uncles made sure we attended, you know, family business consortiums, courses. My brother and I, Pawan and I, we've taken a course in Harvard for 3 weeks just on succession planning.
Right.
And my third generation told us to articulate their exit rather than they plan our entry. They said, tell us how you want us to go. We won't tell you how we want you to come in. So that was something that was unique.
Indeed, I should be, especially since you're saying that the business is such that until you diversify it, it could just languish. I mean, how many companies in India really do incense sticks in an organized way? And you're exporting. Your client list, what does it look like in the overseas market?
Oh, we export to over 40 countries. We work with a lot of different kind of big discount retailers across the world. Also, you know, specialty stores. Just to name a few, we're working with Kmart right now. We did work with Target some time ago in the US. We have a host of customers in Malaysia, Singapore, the Middle East. Africa is also a big market for us. A new market that I was mentioning to you earlier is Brazil, and South America kind of embraced the whole incense movement. So,
but I'd be interested, and I'm sure so will be our viewers, as to, you know, incense stick in India is a way of life. I mean, it's there. It never comes to your mind that you have to go out there to buy it, think about it. There's no excitement around it. But in the international markets, there's tremendous excitement about the so-called India fragrance.
yes. No, I mean, you know, being a marketing guy and a sales guy, I'd want to tell you that our company is the only one that's creating some excitement in incense in India as well. But yeah, but I understand where you're coming from in the sense that the whole India movement of, you know, Eastern culture, spirituality, Ayurveda, yoga, and all of that combined with incense and the fact that incense is not religious but more spiritual. There's a big difference between religion and spirituality. So it's across cultures, across religions that people use incense.
And you're making money off that whole thought.
No, we're not making money, we're giving people hope.
Because they like to pray.
Yeah, they like to pray, and what happens when you light incense is you're transcended to a different world. You know, the ambience that's created and the fragrance, the aura, you know, really takes you to a different world, and that's what you want to do is
Does
basically...
it do that to you?
Yeah, it does to me, and that's why I'm here selling incense day in and day out. I love doing what I do. Now, there's a saying in my family, you know, you go cut any Ranga's hand, you won't get blood, you'll get, you know, incense fragrance coming out.